I'd like to thank my mom up here, who would never pick me up when I fell. She taught me how to get up when I was knocked down. I thank my uncle for always being there for me. I thank all you who are here who fought in these wars. You have no idea how big of a deal this is to me. I was not always this strong guy you see. I went through a lot of hard times in my life to get here today. I tried once to get in the Air Force to be an Air Force pararescueman, and I quit for fear of the water. I was 175 pounds. I left the Air Force 4 years later at 300 pounds. I went from 175 to 300 pounds. There's a long story in there on how that came to be. But I sat around and read a book on the Medal of Honor. And these guys, all I wanted to be was an uncommon man. In my whole life, I was not that. Much worse than that. There were stories about men like you, Doc, who had the courage to jump on grenades and stuff like that. So I came home one day from work. I got home and I watched a show on the Discovery Channel of guys carrying boats and logs, Navy SEAL training. I decided to make a change in my life. I called the recruiter up and he asked me these questions. You had to meet a certain height and weight limit. I was 6'1" and 300 pounds. He laughed at me. 7 other recruiters laughed at me. One recruiter finally said, "Come on in. I'm too busy to talk on the phone." He didn't know how much I weighed. I walked into the recruiter's office. He looked at me and he said, "You're fat and you're black." I've got to be a Navy SEAL. I didn't know that there had only been 35 African American Navy SEALs at that time in over 70 years. He said, basically I had to lose 106 pounds in less than 3 months because of my age. I was getting too old. I came back 3 months later, 106 pounds lighter. And literally, I spent 18 months going through BUDS, which is a 6-month program. I went through 3 Hell Weeks. That's where I met Marcus Luttrell, Danny Dietz, Michael Murphy, another Medal of Honor winner. I went through Hell Week with these guys, real heroes. I'm not a hero. I served with real heroes. And from there, I went on to raise over $2 million for the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. But I'm going to end with this right here. I have the most respect I can possibly muster up for all of you in this room. I know what it takes to be a combat soldier. I used to look for courage. I thought courage was a man who won the Medal of Honor. It is. But courage is a man who's going to put on those boots every single day of his life to go out there and fight for this country where nobody even knows what the hell they're doing or where the hell they're at. You do it for the man beside you. Thank you. This speech is given by David Goggins as his acceptance speech. It was titled Against All Odds. He gave it at the 2018 VFW Americanism Award. I ran into this speech and first was introduced to David Goggins back when I was kind of looking for some direction in my life. Going into COVID, life was kind of changing, and I found through him motivation, I found determination, accountability, discipline, and just where he ended when he's talking about you do it for the brother next to you on your right or on your left, just seemed to resonate with me on why I serve as a firefighter. I just recently got done teaching the fire academies for our department and teaching all these young men and women. They show up eager, they just want to serve, they want to be successful, and they're wondering what it's going to take. I explained to them it's going to take everything that they've got and then some. It's going to be the hardest thing that they do or accomplish in their lives. So I give them the 2 biggest keys. I talk to them about grit. You've got to have grit. I define that as passionate perseverance to achieve long-term goals, to have a growth mindset. It's not seeing failure as failure. That when you face a challenge, you just figure out another way to work around it, to overcome it, just to take one more rep, to keep moving forward. I tell them that grit is one of those things that they've got to have. The second aspect of that is about teamwork. You've got to be a good teammate. I give them an example from a talk given by Simon Sinek, and he explains what it takes to become a Navy SEAL. He uses this example when they asked an officer about how people became Navy SEALs, The officer said, I don't know what I can tell you about how they get here, but I can tell you about who it is that becomes a Navy SEAL. One, the person that shows up, that's the officer that wants to preen and delegate, none of them make it. The guy that shows up with muscles and tattoos, wants to show everybody how tough they are, none of them make it. The Division I athlete, the college athlete who truly hasn't been tested to his core, they don't make it. Sometimes you'll see a skinny, scrawny person shaking out of fear that might make it. But I can tell you that all the ones that do make it, that those men and women, when they're physically exhausted, emotionally exhausted, that they can find a way somehow, some way to dig deep and to help the brother next to them, the brother to their left or the brother to their right. Those are the people that always make it. So I give them that example to talk about what it means to be a good teammate, that you need to place someone else's needs in front of your own, to be able to look to the person to your right or to your left to help them as they struggle. So I tell them to take their eyes off themselves and to place them on their teammates, to find deep meaning in serving. Because I feel like service, it is one of those secrets to life that makes you happy, that gives you purpose, and that leads you to be successful. And if the Navy SEALs can be successful by finding men and women that know how to serve, then for us, that is also one of the secrets to our success.